Good morning. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this Sunday? Hope you're all fit and well. Um, the book is done. Book. It's 5,500 words. Beyond Fuel is done. Not uploaded yet, but it's done. The podcast is done. That's about 35 minutes that you'll never get back. So planning to launch those on Monday. So if you're part of our WhatsApp group, you'll know about it there. If you're part of our buymeacoffee.com/demolition news, you'll know about it there too. And we'll be promoting it online as well. But yeah, the Beyond Fuel is done and dusted. Glad to see the back of it. I was feeling inspired when I sat down to write it. Feeling a little less positive about it now because I've been talking about nothing else for the past week. Good morning, everyone. Let me just press Ken's button. Not in the biblical sense. Morning, Ken. Good of you to join us. He's got sunshine down in Welsh Wales. Who else do we have here? I think I saw Mark Whiting. There's Mark. There's morning, Mark. Good of you to join us. I'm fairly sure. Yeah, there's Gary as well. And I've not seen him since the show started, but Dan was here before the show started, as per usual. Good morning, one and all. How are we all doing? Hope you're all fit and well. Actually got a bit of a break this afternoon. Well, I say this afternoon, right about lunchtime. Actually meeting up with a mate. He retired a couple of weeks back, and I'm meeting up with him. He's got nothing better to do, frankly, nor have I. So we're going for a bite to eat, which I'm looking forward to enormously. So without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road, beginning now. Go over to the chat very quickly. Ken Hatcher says, went to the Welsh Construction Show yesterday, then on to Holt JCB in Swindon with the Diggerman blog, Mr. Drew. How is Mr. Drew? Haven't spoken to him in ages. Hope he's fit and well. How was the Welsh Construction Show? I'm guessing it's not that big a show because I didn't even know it was going on. Not that it would have made any difference to my world, but I didn't even know it was going on. Do you have photographs? Are there things you can tell us? Love to hear about it. I've posted the question of the day. Ken Hatch says, no, I'll come back to that because that's in relation to the question of the day, which I'll do in a second. It is Thursday, the 22nd of May. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition, the Lord High Chancellor of live streaming, the ever-present in your life. In today's show, JCB's Pothole Pro goes to work in Canada. Need to manage your attachments? Well, don't worry because John Deere has got you covered. We're down on the beach with Mammoet, and in our latest look back at Bauma 2025, we're revisiting the Develon stand. It's a good one too. Plus, in my morning monologue today, locked up tight, are plant owners and operators sleepwalking into a repair and maintenance trap? It's weird how inspiration strikes me with these things. Sometimes I'm sat there watching the TV, or I'm on YouTube, or I'm reading a book, and you get a flash of inspiration. This was inspired almost entirely by our discussions in the post show yesterday. So stick around for that. And our friend Stefan Edwards has just joined us over on LinkedIn. Morning, Stefan. How are you doing, my friend? Good of you to join us. Hope you're fit and well. We do have a mystery machine for you today, and I can't see Dan in the chat yet, so there is a chance for somebody to, well, have I seen Chris? I don't think I've seen Chris either. But people, stand by. Mystery machine is coming after this. Have I done that? I've done that. Mystery machine. See, it's like the devil. You say his name and he appears. I've said Chris Ford, he popped up. I said Dan Cullen, he popped up too. Gentlemen, stand by because I'm about to show you. Where is it? I think this is it. Yeah, that's it. Mystery machine. What do you make of that? We are looking, as we do every single day for basically my entire life, we're looking for a make and a model. Anybody got any suggestions on that? While you're doing that, I'm going to go back to Stefan, who says he's all good. Thanks. Good. Glad to hear it. Yes, our question of the day. I'm going to remind you of that very, very quickly. It is in the chat, but I'll remind you now. Yeah, our question of the day is one that I expect to generate quite a bit of feedback, and it is this. How much of your working day is spent putting right the work of others? Now, I no longer have a dog in this fight, but when I started out as a very junior journalist, that was basically my full-time job. I was in charge of sorting out press releases and trying my best to make sense of them. And I do remember specifically press releases from the, well, they were the German manufacturer of hydraulic breakers at the time, Craic. Incredibly difficult to deal with. They've been translated from German into English, but they've been done by somebody who was clearly more German than they were English. That being said, some of the English press releases that I had to deal with weren't that much better. In fact, they were one of the reasons that prompted me to jump ship briefly, temporarily, over into the field of PR. I figured these buggers aren't doing this well enough. I could do it better. The problem with that is after about 5 years, I look back at the world of journalism and I thought exactly the same thing. These buggers aren't doing a job very well. So I came back home. But what about you? How much of your time is spent putting right the work of others? Now, I know we've already had answers on this. Ken Hatcher says, I've spent years doing it. All I seem to do lately. That's exactly what I was expecting to hear. Dan Cullen says, question of the day, 100%. We're rectifying the issues from pilers costing an extra 20 million squid. Yeah, 20 million squid because somebody didn't do their job properly in the first place. Jim, on the other hand, says not much because it's usually work we initially did, but we do spend a lot of time repairing work that gets destroyed by other trades. There's that part as well. There is that part as well. Jonathan Duras has arrived just in time for our mystery machine, which I will bring back onto the screen. There we are. That's what it looks like. Dan Cullen swooped in with the Cat 979F. It's not. Chris Ford, on a similar line, says the Cat 777. It's not one of those either. Let me show you a smidge more. There you are. There's a little bit more. Does that help in any way, shape, or form? Good morning to Garvin, who's just joined us over on Instagram, and loads of other people. I'm not going to name them all. I wish people would actually use their names on Instagram because some of them are just like a string of letters and numbers. How am I supposed to say good morning to people like that? I don't know. First world problems, I guess. Anyway, it is time to start the show, and we're going to Canada immediately after this. Yeah, we're just going to stop very quickly before we go to Canada because there is a mystery machine. Chris Ford, thinking outside the box, reckons it could be the Belaz 7540. It's a good shout, but it is not one of those. It's also not the Komatsu 980E, which Jonathan has thrown up. And Dan Cullen reckons the Volvo R100. It's not one of those either. Here's a little bit more. There you are. Have a think about that. While you're doing so, let me take that away. And yes, Pothole Pro, the JCB Pothole Pro. They did such a good job promoting it that you could believe that they were only ever sold in and around Staffordshire, Stoke, places like that. But this is a global product we're talking about, and one has pitched up in Canada.
So we're here in Vancouver, where our Pothole Pro just finished milling out a fairly decent sized patch. We've been here for about two and a half months, and the verdict's in. This machine's been really helping us exceed our production rates. In 2.5 months, we've already completed 700 of 1,800 patches here in Vancouver, which gives us an average of about 15 to 17 patches a day. Our original expectation was about 8 to 10. So we're easily beating what we were hoping to accomplish here in Vancouver as a first-year patching program. So this machine's basically a Swiss Army knife for road maintenance. It's got a bucket attachment, it's got a 160 swivel, it's got a milling head, it's got a sweeper head. Basically, like I said, the Swiss Army knife of road maintenance.
Yeah, machine made in the UK, doing its thing over in Canada. You love to see it, don't you? Let's have a look. We've got a mystery machine to deal with. That was the last one from Dan. He reckons the Volvo R100. Jim Turner reckons it could be a Komatsu dump truck. You've got the right type of product. You've got the wrong type of manufacturer. Chris Ford is also going for Komatsu 980E. It's not. It's also not a Komatsu HD 465. It's also not a Liebherr T264. It's none of those things. Here's a little bit more. If you look closely enough, there is a bit of a clue there. What have we got? Chris Ford going for the XCMG XDE 130. Getting closer. Dan Cullen going for Komatsu 7857. It's not one of those. And Ken Hatcher has put up, I think there's probably a picture to go with that, but he's saying Canada. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. Yeah, indeed. Keep the guesses coming. And also, don't forget, our question of the day today is, how much of your working day is spent putting right the work of others? Keep that coming. Yes, managing your attachments in just a moment.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Yeah, my latest attempt to tempt John Deere to jump over the big pond and come and set up shop here in the UK, there's this.
Inside the advanced display located on the top right-hand corner of the cab is a new feature called Attachment Manager. This feature comes pre-programmed with optimal flow and pressure settings for John Deere attachments. Additionally, operators can use this feature to toggle between preset and pre-saved attachments, as well as view joystick layout of attachments. So let's learn how to use it. First, select Attachment Manager on the home screen. The first screen that pops up will display the current selected attachment. The setting for a general attachment is typically selected if the operator is using a bucket. If the operator wants to toggle between attachments, select the gear symbol at the bottom left-hand corner. This screen shows the current selected attachment, which when clicked allows the operator to edit the settings for the current attachment. Selecting attachments, this will give you a list of pre-saved attachments. At this moment, we only have a general attachment saved. To add a new attachment, we will use a cold planer, for example. Select the plus button. Here we will set up a CP24. Through this attachment manager system, you are able to uniquely label and pre-saved attachments. For this example, we will name it JD CP24. Next, confirm the attachment by selecting the OK button. By selecting the new pre-saved attachment at the top, you will then be able to edit the current name, view flow rates that are already preset for the John Deere attachment. One thing I would like to point out is the joystick layout feature. Since a cold planer is typically more complex when it comes to joystick functions, this will show you the joystick layout. Now let's return to the main screen. You will now see the selected attachment. By selecting the gear button and then attachments, you will now see that the JD CP24 is now a saved attachment. Attachment Manager does still allow you to use non-John Deere attachments, so you will just need to go through the attachment settings and set this based on what the attachment manufacturer recommends. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you better optimize your attachments on your John Deere machine.
Obviously, John Deere aren't the first people to come up with an attachment management system like that. Lots of manufacturers do it. How often do you guys that are actually in machines, that drive machines, how often do you actually go into that? Do you? I'd be interested to know. Lots and lots of guesses coming through on our mystery machine. Now, somewhat bizarrely, Chris Ford reckons it could be an XCMG XDE 130. I said that was close. And then he went off sideways and came back with the Sinotruck HHT 95. It's not one of those. Let's have a look. I'll come back to Dan in just a moment. Let's have a look. Dan is going for the Komatsu. Well, he went for that. He also went for the HD 785. It's not a Sani SRT 95. Jonathan Duras getting a little bit closer still. XCMG XD 240, closer still. Chris Ford says the Sani SET 320S. No, I don't. It's not one of those. And here is Dan. Now, I'm going to go full screen for this. That croakiness in her voice pisses me off, as many women do this now. Oh my God, I'd send her back to school. I didn't even notice. And is there a spate? Is there a spate of women out there doing croaky voices? Is there? I've got to be honest, I don't leave these four walls very often, but that has passed me by completely. I can tell you, we have a winner. And do you know the funny thing is, it's brought things back to level pegging. Chris Ford says, is it the XCMG XDE 400? You're damn tootin' it is. Chris Ford back on level pegging. Let's have a look. I can just prove it to you. There we go. There it is in all its glory. The XCMG XDE 400. Congratulations, Mr. Ford. So Dan Cullen went back in the lead yesterday. Chris Ford has pegged him back today. This one's going down to the wire. Well, sort of. What have we got? Probably got about another 6 of these to go. And we are neck and neck going into the final. Well, we'll go into the final week on Monday. You get the idea. Congratulations, Chris Ford. Where has this performance come from, Chris? You are the person we relied upon to be basically propping up the table from the bottom. And all of a sudden, you seem to be on a bit of a roll. Jim Turner reckons, according to him, the spate of women with croaky voices is down to the 40 capstone strength a day. Really. Dan says, I left the tablet in the machine. Fair play, Mr. Ford. You know when a part of the show has really caught on, when people are actually taking equipment to deal with it. If you're taking a tablet to work with you in order to conquer the mystery machine, it's kind of taken off, isn't it? Yeah, well done, Mr. Ford. Back again for more of that tomorrow. We're off down to the beach in a moment after this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Imagine you're on a beach, and maybe the clouds come over and you're suddenly in shade, and you think, if I move up a little bit, I'll be in the sun. Or alternatively, you're laying there minding your own business and you spot a particularly attractive woman or man, either works, a bit further down the beach, and you think, I'll just pick up my towel and my bag and I'll hop on down there and I'll just move a little bit closer. All good excuses and good reasons to do so. How do you go about doing that with a shack on the beach? An entire shack? Well, what you do is you pick the phone up and you say, hello, Mammoet, we'd like to move our beach shack if you wouldn't mind. Now, I realise it looked like they were just trying to get closer to the sea. I mean, they were, but that wasn't the reasoning behind it. Apparently, the sand dunes behind that beach shack were starting to encroach. So they said, "Oh, we don't want to move along the beach. We'll just pick it up and move along." That's what they did. Mammoet, the masters of lifting. Dan Cullen, I can only apologise for having given you an addiction to the Mystery Machine. There's probably a rehab available for it. I'll look it up for you. Chris Field says, I'm working off a mobile phone with a screen of 20 millimeters by 50 millimeters. Even with Zoom, it's a lucky guess. Well, you've had 5 lucky guesses this month? You must be doing something right. Ken Hatcher says, mad, that cost. I did wonder about that. Obviously, there will have been a cost involved. I wonder whether that was the owners of the shack footing the bill or whether they were encouraged, urged, paid to do so by the local authority who then footed the bill. Interesting point, though. Dan Cullen says, I have I have a tablet and 2 phones, one on the show, other looking at the picture, and tablet Googling. Wow. Wow. Dan, I think you might need to see someone. I think you need to go and have a long lie down. We're going back to Bauma in a moment with the mighty Develon. While I was at Bauma, I went to the Develon stand for a very specific reason. I went to see their little, fairly mini, 2-3 story high reach excavator, and to speak to their product specialist, their demolition product specialist, a nice fella by the name of Jan Braberda. Didn't get a chance to look around the show or around the Develon stand much at all because I was there for one reason only. Thankfully, they've got me covered. Let's go back to Bauma with Develon.
Welcome to Bauma 2025. The world's largest trade fair for construction and mining machinery is here, and Develon is ready to bring you an unforgettable experience. Dan says, have you ever spoken to Mr. Lynch since of Develon? No, I've not spoken to Kevin Lynch since Plant Works.
since plant works. And listen, it'd be very easy for me to sit here and point fingers. I've already confessed to the fact that I'm very, very poor at keeping up with people. Used to be so much better at it. I literally used to have a notebook or a piece of paper by the side of my desk. If I found myself with 5 minutes to spare, I just pick up the phone and go and speak to somebody I haven't spoken to in a while. Haven't spoken to Kevin Lynch in quite some time. Kevin, if you're watching, let's do coffee or something. Haven't spoken to you in ages. I do speak to Develon's PR man, Mike Isherwood, on a fairly regular basis, and he does Bobcat as well. So one way or another, I speak to him fairly regularly. Haven't spoken to Kevin in quite some time. Hope he's fit and well. Anywho, people, that's about it for the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into my morning monologue. If you can't stick around for that, I would urge you, I would beg you, I'd implore you to look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. I hope to see you again very, very soon. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'm going to be back and we're going to be talking about spare parts and stuff immediately after a smidgen of this. Are we, as an industry, sleepwalking into a trap? A trap laid deliberately or otherwise by equipment manufacturers. Are we on the brink of a new era where we're not just discouraged from maintaining our own equipment, but we're actively prevented from doing so? For years, construction equipment manufacturers, much like their counterparts in the automotive sector, have had us over a barrel when it comes to spares. Failure to use genuine parts will invalidate your warranty, they warn us. It's written into purchase agreements, lease deals, and operator manuals. Setting aside the fact that these parts are for a machine that you own and that you paid for, it's always irked me that manufacturers go out of their way to ensure that you pay top dollar for replacement parts and consumables. You can shop around for the machine itself, comparing models from various brands and sources, but once they've got you locked in, they slam the door shut to ensure any parts added to your machine are supplied by them and by them only. Now, I get it. If they've promised to keep your machine in tip-top order for the next 4, 5, 6 years, they can't risk you shoehorning in a one-size-fits-all knockoff that you picked up from a back alley in Kowloon. Moreover, genuine OEM parts are generally manufactured specifically for the machine. They're of higher quality and produced to tighter tolerances. Aside from their price, they are better in virtually every conceivable way. But as it stands today, you have a choice. You can opt for the OEM part, or you can choose a spurious alternative. Yep, you might void your warranty, but that's your choice. It's your prerogative. However, we are now entering an age where that choice may no longer be ours to make. An age where that prerogative is no longer an option. Equipment manufacturers are already less than keen on any Tom, Dick or Harry taking a spanner to one of their precious machines. Now, sealed units do keep oil and grease in, but they're also pretty effective at keeping fitters and mechanics out. And this, potentially, is just the thin end of the wedge. We've already seen how automotive manufacturers have made their systems so complex, so inaccessible, that car owners often have little choice but to return to the local dealer every time something needs maintaining or repairing. Brake pads, headlight bulbs, windscreen wiper blades, yep, back to the dealer. Simultaneously, both car and construction equipment manufacturers have installed advanced electronic systems whose sole aim, apparently, is to guilt trip you into another call to your local dealer. Now, back in the day, I could go years without checking my tyre pressure or my oil levels. Now, my wife's car does all of that for me, and it bleeps and flashes until I've made the necessary adjustments. It does so with service intervals too. A little red light on the dash that effectively means, take me back whence I came and bring your checkbook. And there was a time when maintaining your machine was a rite of passage. Operators didn't just run machines. They knew them. They understood them. There was a pride in being self-sufficient. Walk onto a site 20 or 30 years ago and you'd see operators with grease guns in hand and toolboxes in their cab. That kind of hands-on ownership has been slowly eroded. Now, a flashing light on a touchscreen has replaced gut instinct, and a service rep has replaced the fitter. And that situation could get much, much worse. How much time, I wonder, does the average Tesla owner spend with their head under the bonnet? Do they fix and maintain things? Do they tinker? Can they? That potentially is our future. A shiny new machine that you can't maintain or repair without costly outside help. Now stir into the mix the advent of telematics. Telematics systems are tracking not only engine hours and fuel burn, but also idling time, operator behavior, and GPS location. And that information is beamed back to the manufacturer or dealer, creating a one-way mirror. They see everything. You see only what they let you see. And increasingly, that data isn't just used to monitor performance, it's used to market services, push predictive maintenance, and to upsell parts. Imagine a world where your machine phones home, and instead of you deciding whether it needs servicing, the dealer shows up uninvited, invoice in hand, because the system has already pre-approved the work. The irony here is, let me do that again. There's an irony here. Equipment manufacturers like Komatsu can produce a power-agnostic mining truck that allows the owner to switch from diesel to a battery power pack, a trolley electric system, or even to a hydrogen fuel cell when such a technology becomes commercially available. Modularity is at our fingertips. It's surely not beyond the ingenuity of design engineers to make machines in which key elements, everything from oil filters to entire engines, could be slotted in and out like additional storage on a computer's motherboard. One of the key ways we might minimize our industry's environmental impact is to break the cycle of running machines for 3 or 4 years and then replacing them with new ones, a process that carries a significant carbon footprint. If we could hang on to those machines for 5 years instead of 3, or 10 years instead of 5, we could make a substantial contribution to the industry's sustainability credentials. But for that to truly work, equipment owners need to be able to maintain their machines, to repair them, to tune them, and yes, even to tinker with them. We're currently on a path towards a future where you might one day open the hood of your excavator or dozer to find a large sign that reads, "Keep out." When that day arrives, you'll be able to do nothing with that machine, your machine, without the permission of the manufacturer and the intervention of the local dealer. And such a future might safeguard your warranty. But is that really a future we want? Just on the same sort of subject, this occurred to me when I was retyping that this morning. Have you ever been to a dentist and he's had a good rummage, bit of a poke around with those little hooky things, and he said, "Nope, your teeth and gums are perfect in every way." Has that ever happened to you? Or do you find they sort of chip away at, exposed nerve, need a filling? Is there not a danger of that with dealers? Now, my wife's car is leased, and we are tied into a contract, which means we have to go and take it to be serviced and everything else. I don't think after the first year, I don't think we've ever taken it for a service and it's not required something. It might be tires, it might be brake pads, it might be something else, but they always manage to find some other additional cost for you to incur. So we're facing a future where we can't tinker, maintain, repair, tune. We're also facing a future where everything needs to go through the dealer. And if a dealer is given free rein with your machine, do you think, I'm sure this is not the case with all of them, but do you think 1 or 2 dealers out there might have a bit of a rummage and say, "Yeah, well, I know you brought it in for some new oil and we needed to grease a few bits, but while we were there, we've discovered that your slew ring's about to fall off or something." Do you think that's a possibility? Because I do. Call me a cynic if you will. Chat's gone very quiet. Have I touched a nerve? Have I gone completely mad? Or is the chat just completely packed up? Don't know what's going on over there. No movement over there at all. Don't know why that is. That's going to make it very, very hard for me to do a recap today, because the recap is based on that which you say and not that which I say. We did do a recap yesterday, by the way. I'm sure most of you have seen it. If you're not, buymeacoffee.com/demolition news. You can go and have a look at it. But yeah, funnily enough, this is a follow-on from an article I wrote maybe 2 years ago about the lost art of tinkering, which is still available somewhere, I'm sure. My dad and the other dads around where I lived, Sunday morning, it was out with the spanners and socket sets and stuff, changing spark plugs and generally peering into engine bays and trying to figure out what was wrong and what that weird tapping noise was. Same with construction equipment. It wasn't just fitters. I mean, fitters are worth their weight in gold, but lots of the old school operators, grease gun in the cab, full toolkit in the cab, and they would tinker and maintain and monitor and everything else. We're getting to the point where that's not that straightforward anymore. Where a lot of the diagnostics that go on today, it literally is bring along a laptop and plug it into the computer within the machine, and that will tell you what's wrong. Now, I'd like to think, being the eternal optimist that I am, I'd like to think that that's an advance that we've made to improve productivity, to improve uptime, to speed up parts replacement and everything else. But there's a little bit of me. There's a little bit of me that wonders, is that just a way to print money? Yeah. Somebody over on Instagram has just said, you heard of Elden Ring? I don't know what Elden Ring is. And he says it's pretty good, man. I don't know what Elden Ring is. If you would like to clarify, tell me about it. I don't know. Not a clue. Anyway, I think that's going to do us. It's chat's gone very quiet. Maybe the chat's gone down. I don't know. It's hard to say. Let me just try something. It's working at my end. So maybe everyone's gone back to work. I don't know. It's not usually the case. Anywho, people, I will be back tomorrow. It is Friday tomorrow. I'll be back. Just very quickly, is it a bank holiday next week? I've got a funny feeling it might well be. In which case there won't be a show on Monday. I'll check. I'll confirm that tomorrow. Everybody go and have a fantastic day. It's weird. I can still see people here and nobody's saying anything. I wonder if the chat has gone down. Anyway, enough. Go and have your day. Dan, have you got yourself a job yet for next week? Let me know. Everybody else, Jonathan Duras, thank you. Solved 2 problems with 1 message. The chat is still working. Thank you, Jonathan. And apparently, yes, bank holiday Monday on Monday. So yes, it'll be a 4-day week next week. Can't say I'm too bothered about that. That's quite good news. And don't forget that my wife is going away in the not too distant future. I think she goes away, I think it's like the 10th of June. And we are planning to do a Saturday show and all things being equal, we may try to break our record of 4.5 hours, or 4 hours 20, I think it was. I'd love to do a 5-hour show. Need lots of coffee for that one. Anyway, people, go and have a fantastic day. I'll be back tomorrow with yet more of the same. Until then, everybody, have a fantastic day. Thanks for your company. See you soon.